Saturday mornings, tune in to The Wrestling Mat, hosted by Ron Moore. Ron and his guests will review Cleveland, Bradley, and Walker Valley's wrestling programs each week during the season. Tune in from 9 to 9:45 a.m. to hear Cleveland's only high school wrestling review show. The Wrestling Mat airs every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9:45 a.m., only on Whoop FM.
And you're here live on The Wrestling Mat on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. Got Deb Moore in here with me and my son-in-law, Dustin Coleman. How you doing today, Dustin?
Hey, doing good. I'm excited to be here, Ron. I was all pumped up. You asked me to come talk about wrestling, so I put my Hulk Hogan shirt on and come on down here to hang out with you for a little bit.
Well, I think that might be a different type.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Well, we can talk about
you're on that other microphone. No wonder I couldn't hear you over there. So you got on your WWE shirt.
That's right.
Oh, well, I think we might be talking about it. Well, this program is going to be running during December and January and a little into February, as we talked about Cleveland, Bradley, and Walker Valley Wrestling. It's the only live wrestling show or review show in Bradley County. And I don't know why the other stations hadn't done it, since wrestling is, if you want to win a state championship, you have to come through Cleveland or Bradley County somewhere along the way here. Cleveland High School, the last 3 years, have been pretty dominant. Bradley had about a 17-year run. Walker Valley is right there at the edge every year, beating at the door. And so some of the preseason polls are pretty interesting in the public schools. You want to read those off there to me?
Yeah, so top 10 for Division I teams. Which one are you looking at?
Yeah, this is preseason. Yeah.
So number 1, you got Cleveland, 2, Bradley, 3, Wilson Central, 4, Beach, 5, Cookeville, 6, Harryville, number 7, Science Hill, 8, Tullahoma, 9, Halls, and 10, Blackman. Been there before.
Well, yeah, now, Cleveland ranked number 1. They were the state champions, dual state champions in the individual state wrestling teams last year. The year before that, they won one of them the year before that, so they won 3 in the last 3 years, or 4 years, I should say.
Well, and rightfully so, that they should start off preseason number 1. You know, and these rankings will change. It's just like football. You know, they're going to change.
These are a guess. Now, Wilson Central was the team that wrestled Cleveland for the state duals championship last year. Got beat pretty handily. Of course, Beach is always good. Cookeville is a team that's always had big heavyweights. It's never had the smaller weights. Heritage has been a lot better high school recently. Science Hill up in Johnson City is always a great one. Tullahoma, great match. Knox Halls is a good one. And Blackman have been better known for their football teams, but they've always had some good there. Bradley this year finished 3rd in the state last year and are just loaded. And some of the individual rankings, and these are all preseasons. These are going to change tremendously. I want to mention that Walker Valley was not in the top 10. Wait about 2-3 weeks. You'll see Walker Valley move into that top 10 and on up in there. Now, these preseason rankings, like I say, are just guesstimates, but sometimes they're pretty good, and we'll wait to the end of the year. But the individual rankings, there are 14 weight classes in high school wrestling, and you only wrestle people in your weight class. So at 106 pounds, the preseason favorite is Bradley High School's T.J. Hicks, and then the next closest guy in our district to him is going to be Chase Payne, which is ranked second down at Saudi Daisy. That'll be a great matchup here later on.
Yeah, and for the folks that, we've got a lot of wrestling fans in the area, but if you've never been out to a wrestling match, to me, of course, I'm a heavyweight guy, but that 106 to 138 range or so make for some of the most interesting matches. And I'm sure TJ's, proud of the ranking. And the other good thing is he's only a sophomore, right? So we've got him for a few more years at Bradley as well.
If TJ is he's in a member of triplets. His sister is the team manager. Okay. And his little brother, who's a few pounds less than him, is at that same weight class. And they're just, two great wrestlers there. TJ, I think, went over to Super 32 this year and finished like 6th in the in that tournament, which is a national tournament. So it just shows you the level that is. Be a great matchup when he goes down and hits Chase Payne down at Soddy Daisy. And then, of course, the Tullahoma guy, Bradley, will see them in a couple of weeks there. Tell us about 113 there, Dustin.
So 113, number one ranking for that weight class is Toribio Navarro for Bradley Central.
I love to watch him wrestle.
Yeah, I know. He's a great wrestler. And then, of course, second for that weight class is Brian Potter from East Hamilton. That's the only other person in that weight class from this area. That'll be another good matchup. And I was going to go back to real quick. Let's see. Bradley has got Soddy Daisy at home on January the 15th. So we're talking about a good matchup there in the 106 weight class. And then we don't have East Hamilton this year.
Yeah. But we do. I think we have Heritage again this year. Juan Hernandez from up at Heritage is a tough matchup too. I think that Toribio got him last year, but that was a very close matchup.
Looking. No, we don't. Walker Valley.
I think they'll probably be in tournaments, so we'll see them in tournaments.
Yeah, we'll probably see them in tournament action. But as far as an actual match, the only one that's got Heritage on the schedule is Walker Valley's got them coming up on December the 16th, and that's at Heritage. So that'll be a good one.
That'll be a tough match.
Be a tough match for them.
The Toribio is just a junior, so possibility. He is a 2-time state champion already.
Yep.
So that's looking
and
for his third.
Yeah, he's a junior, so he'll be back again next year, and he might be able to get his fourth. You never know.
Up at 120 is the top dude in that's Nick Crawford. Nick's senior. He's been wrestling. He's always around the top of the weight class he's in every year. At third is Ryan McElhaney. McElhaney was 106 last year and finished second in the state. He wrestled in the finals. So he's coming into a bigger weight class there, and they got him at 120. I see him moving up also. Also, they'll see Cleveland Tyree and Tullahoma. They'll see them real soon. And so that's just some big matchups there. One thing I'm not seeing, is that, Soddy Daisy not in the top 10 up there when we talked about it a few minutes ago. That's really a surprise. I haven't seen Soddy Daisy not being 1, 2, 3, along with Bradley and then Science Hill. And
they've they had some great wrestlers there for like a 3 or 4 year run, and I know a lot of them have moved on. And what's the one kid's name? I can't think. Lightning, Thunder, whatever his
Turbo.
name. Turbo. I knew it was something like that. Lightning, Thunder, Turbo.
Oh, yeah. But
Shake and Bake. I don't know what his name was.
But they got Tucker Russo coming, though. Don't worry about that. So 120, Ryan McElhaney there, and there's no other local guys there. 126. Dustin?
Yeah, 126 is a good one. Number one preseason ranking for that weight class, Knox Fuller from Bradley. And he is the only one, at least from a Cleveland Walker Valley Bradley perspective, that's ranked in that weight class. There's nobody else, not even a Soddy or an East Hamilton or an Ottawa listed for the 126.
What weight class is that?
That's 126.
Knox
still
Fuller,
the small guys.
Knox Fuller state champion from last year. His first year as a freshman. Some of you may know his grandfather. He may not want to claim this, all right? But Louis Alford is Knox Fuller's grandfather there. So some good athletic
From an athletic family.
Yes, it is there. So, but now Knox will have some tough guys there. He'll see probably Michael Bobreck from Blackman will be probably at the Bradley Invitational, and then Devin Kyrie. I know Tullahoma. They're going up to see Tullahoma. It's going what pools they get into. He may see that number 2 ranked guy. Coming to 132, just no doubt, probably the premier wrestler in the area, Chris DBN from Cleveland High School. Now he is injured. Has been injured earlier this year, and he's had some knee surgery. He will be back at the first of the year. I understand he is practicing some now, and I think he'll probably not wrestle any the first month of the season, and then he'll probably come back in January. And he's a 3-time state champion, if I'm not mistaken now, and he's just tough. I mean, he's
this 132 is a tough weight class anyways, because you got Jacob McClure, who's preseason ranked 3rd in this weight class from Soddy Daisy, and then, of course, Hunter Parker's ranked 6th from Bradley. But if you look at some of the other teams in there, Wilson Central, some of the ones we're accustomed to seeing, so 132, you start to get into that. There's a lot of good talent in that weight class.
You know, I hate to say it, but a lot of these guys that are second, third, fourth, and sixth are going to be vying for second.
Yeah.
Because, not saying that DBN can't be beat, but it hasn't been often. He is just, barring any more injury, Chris DeBean ought to be a 4-time state champion from Cleveland High School. Just a great athlete, amazing to watch. He is just so slick. Over at 138, go ahead there, Dustin.
Oh, you're fine. So in this weight class, second ranking or number 2 rankings, Cleveland's Tristan Blansett, who is a junior this year, and then 5th for this weight class is Stephen Scott, who is a senior at Bradley, and those are the only 2 guys preseason ranked for this weight class. Looks to be interesting.
I think I know Stephen Scott will probably see Halls. He'll see Blansett and probably run into Holleran this year too. I think Stephen Scott's going to move on up and think. I think Tristan Blansett and him are the 2 guys that are really watching this weight class, particularly moving up. Gardebrandt, I never say it right, but he's pretty tough also. He's a senior. Stephen Scott's a senior, had a great summer workout.
Yeah, and Bradley's got to go to – I thought I saw it on here. Yeah, so they got the Halls Invitational later on in January.
Right.
So,
so when does the season start officially, Ron, this week?
Well, I think Cleveland's already wrestled a little bit, but actually in earnest, you see most teams are out at tournaments this weekend. Cleveland's still not out at a tournament this weekend. But I think Walker Valley is down at
Walker Valley's at Hickson today, and Bradley is in Archer, Georgia, at the Archer, Georgia Duels. So they're both in competition this weekend.
The down at 145 is a kid who, I tell you, he is if DBN is the master at 132, Tucker Russo is probably the 145 kid in the state. Saudi, he's a 2-time state champion. Now Blackman, Josh Feuerbacher is a name.
Say it again.
Feuerbacher.
Okay.
And if anybody knows it better, call me. But those 2 guys are tough. But Tucker, I would think, would be the better of that. That Michael DeMemer from Heritage is another great. That one's loaded right there. Those 3 guys now, Chris Rowland, Rico Bowen, and Jake Beatty from the rest of the state are good. But the 3 top weights in that 145 are going to be very, very tough matchups there.
I was going to say, too, just looking at some of the preseason rankings, this 145 weight class, and then we'll talk about the 182 here in a few minutes. Those are the only 2 weight classes that don't have any of our local guys ranked for the preseason.
Yeah, go ahead to 152.
I'm talking about Walker Valley, Cleveland, Bradley, but
go ahead.
Yeah, so 152. The only one we have local ranked is 3rd, Ezra Taylor from Cleveland, sophomore. Some other good teams in there. We got Luke Hamilton, Brentwood, Mike Benz, Wilson Central's ranked there. Matthew Sells from Blackman. So another good weight class.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
And then at 160, Aaron Oliver, a 4-year starter up at Cleveland High School, he didn't finish. He was one of the top 6 in the state last year. My mind slipped where he went last year. You have to realize everything's very, very early now, and like I say, and it's hard to get coaches because coaches are usually practicing on Saturday morning or off on tournaments there. So during the week, this coming week, I'm going to try to catch up with each of them and try to record some statements from them and get their opinions what's going on. And of course, you can always call here at 614-5553. It's the only live wrestling show in Cleveland, Tennessee called The Wrestling Map. We have some guests, different guests will come in every week. We got Gary Weber will be here with us next week. He's going to be doing we'll actually be doing some live wrestling matches on the on Whoop Radio this year, and Gary will be our play-by-play man, and so we're looking forward to all that.
A real quick a plug here too, just real quick, because I know I've got a lot of friends whose kids are coming up and they're interested in wrestling, and they ask me what's the best way to get into it or get started. And I think if your kid's never been or they're interested in it, probably one of the cheapest athletic events you can get into. And then next Thursday, which is the 4th,
right.
Cleveland and Bradley are both at home. If you got a couple of bucks, I think it's $2 or $3 to get in, or
right, about $3. I
$3
think. Maybe,
to get in.
I don't have for kids. Adults are $3.
Adults are $3. Maybe students are free or something like that. But just take your kid to the match, and if they're interested, Cleveland's got a great program. Bradley's got Bradley Pride kids.
I think they have started a program at Walker Valley now.
I think Walker Valley's got a program too, and just take them and talk to some of those coaches, and they'll be glad to steer you in the right direction. I think it's a great thing to get them started young, and you'll notice a lot of these guys on this list that me and Ron are talking about this morning got started at a very young age, and they're potential state champions. So
I remember watching T.J. Hicks wrestle when he was 5 years old. And
I remember watching both of those boys wrestle each other when they were about 6 or 7 before the match.
And
it was really funny.
And if nothing else, come out to the Bradley Cleveland match. They always have the kids come out at the beginning of that and have them, wrestle a little bit. And there's nothing like watching some, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids on the mat for a minute or so.
And these kids clubs have tournaments. So
absolutely.
They start around 5. They go on all the way up through middle school then, and you got a couple years of middle school, and then you can become into high school. A lot of training, over the years, and that's how come you'll see that Cleveland and Bradley and Walker Valley are the tops in the state, because a lot of local kids have went through these programs, and we've seen kids from neighboring counties come into these programs too. So they're a lot of fun, and the good thing about wrestling is that you wrestle your own weight class. If you're a football player and there's a guy 300 pounds on the other side of you, and you happen to be 160, just tough. You have to run around him. But
and it's one of those things where it is individually based on your performance, but yet it is a team environment, and you work towards team points, and maybe if we get time in a second, Ron can talk a little bit about the different tournaments where you have the duels and the traditionals, because it's a little bit different. But yeah, absolutely. If it's just you and that weight class, it's you and that one guy at that time, and you're trying your best to win, not only for yourself as an individual accomplishment, but team points as well. And if you don't know how wrestling is scored, Ron has got some great stuff on the Bradley website.
Right.
I'm sure some of the other websites have it as well, but referee signals and how it's scored. What the heck is a 2-point takedown? Somebody fell the other day, and I looked at my wife and said, that was a 2-point takedown. But you catch yourself doing these wrestling terms after you go to all these matches.
So, yeah. And Debbie, now at 160 over at Bradley, he's not state ranked yet because he just now broke into a starting role. You might want to mention someone that
Go ahead.
It's Deb's nephew's son.
Clay
Bandy is the starter at 160 for Bradley.
All right,
and
go
so,
Clay.
Clay, and congratulations to Clay. They're down at Archer, Georgia today, so they're not hearing this today.
And that's something, too, that I think folks don't realize is these tournaments, how important that is to get these kids ready. The teams that don't travel, you always want to take your kids and let them see somebody better than they are.
Yeah.
And I think that makes them really stretch and really work hard. But I'm a real people watcher. When I go to these matches, I'll tell you who I watch are the coaches.
Yep.
And you have some coaches that are a little bit too animated. They're jumping around and screaming and stuff. And then you have some coaches that just sit there.
Steve Logston.
That if you ever heard nice out of him, that was the biggest compliment in the world. Now that's not too.
Yeah, there's a great
that's not
picture
too bad.
Are you talking about Jake Yost up here on the screen right now? Yeah. Jake's
I probably
Jake's a
have
calm guy,
taken
too.
more photographs of high school wrestlers than anybody in Bradley County. So I watch these people, and I watch the kids come through the kids programs and grow up. It's an intense sport.
We've had this discussion. It's not a knock on the coaches, really. It's just different styles of coaching, and some are effective, and some are, do it in different ways. But you're absolutely right. The coaching staff, and then too, just like you see some of the parents get animated in football. Buddy, you can see some of these parents get animated in wrestling too.
That's a kind word.
I've about seen some 2 or 3 point takedowns in the stands before. So
it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting sport to watch once you understand it. Yeah. And I had to learn real fast to take the picture of my team on top.
There you go.
And the good thing about this picture up there, and this goes out to my good friend, the athletic director over at Cleveland High School, Eric Phillips. He's the one sitting calmly in this picture.
Yeah,
it's usually Jake is sitting calmly, and Eric's a little bit more animated.
And
so
you'll notice
nothing wrong with that, Eric. Just
something else I've
point that out to
noticed.
you.
I've noticed over the years too is that's the teams that pay a lot of attention to the junior high programs and the kids programs. You get those long-term dedicated parents that bring in those kids that are there for the right reasons.
And I can remember, and that's a great point, especially from like a wrestling and football and a baseball perspective, because I know when I was in middle school here in Cleveland, there wasn't that connection between. I mean, there was some of a connection, but the way Lake Forest and Ocoee Middle now work with their parent high schools to get these kids prepared, there wasn't that connection some 20 years ago. I'm not trying to date myself or anything, but 27 years ago, middle schools didn't do that connection between the high schools. So it's great to see that collaboration, and
it makes a big difference.
There's some really good football talent and football games going on at the middle school level. If you've never been before, you need to go.
And you have to come out just to get a grilled cheese sandwich
that
you can smell when you walk in the door.
We got a call here. Good morning. You're live on the wrestling mat. Try it again there.
Good morning.
Call us back, caller.
We lost them for some reason.
That's pretty scary when you say you're live on the wrestling mat.
No.
Assume the referee position. Sorry, folks. We're
trying to get it.
We're checking out all the technology here. Please call us back. Ron's pushed the button again. Okay. So how many weight classes are there, Dustin?
There's 14 weight classes. And I don't know, was it 2 years ago, Ron?
They changed it 2 or 3
years ago. They added the.
Well, there were 14 weight classes. They combined some of the smaller weights and added one big, larger weight.
Yeah, the heavyweights.
Yeah, they added the 220. They had one. They used to have 182, 190. Then it went to heavyweight, and so then they went to.
Let's try this phone again. Good morning. You're on Old Town Cleveland. No, you're not on Old Town Cleveland. You're on
the wrestling mat.
That's it.
Good morning, Dale. How you doing?
We're not getting anything from anybody here.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. Well, we have no idea why we're not getting phones. Sorry about that. And maybe Eric Phillips calling to defend himself.
I know. Somebody didn't pay the phone bill around
here.
If
that's you, Eric. I'm just trying to avoid you there. So, all right.
So 160 is going to be a good one. Aaron Oliver's ranked third from Cleveland. John Williamson is ranked fourth from Saudi. And then, like we said, congrats to Clay. 170 is going to be a good one, too. The only one that's ranked from this area is number 6, Jonathan Martin from Cleveland. He's a sophomore. But you look at some of these other teams in there, Sean Kennedy from Riverdale. I've heard that name before. Jeffrey Houston. So another good weight class.
Yeah. 182, no local guys in this particular weight class, but Chad Solomon, always a tough guy from Maryville. He's been around for 4 years. He's a senior. Tough kid. Has been up on the platform several times. The other names are pretty new to me. Cal Ripley and Malcolm Webster from Dixon, Tyler Dean from Dobbins Bennett, Cody Gregory, and Alex Onassi. O'Masney, I can't say that right, but at 195, the only local guy there is going to be Brett Brown. Brett Brown was on the platform last year. He's got a tough road there. He's got that tough kid, Kyle Russell from up in Clarksville, tough guy. Hunter Bagley's another tough guy. Okay. Hello?
Good morning.
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Well,
okay.
They can hear us, but we can't hear them. I'm sorry. But Kyle Russell's tough. Hunter Bagley's a good one. Brett Brown, tall, slender type guy who is going to be a good wrestler there. I see him to move up along this way, too. Now at 220. Go ahead there.
So at 220, top preseason ranks, number 2 is Karan Kennedy from Cleveland. Man, he's a senior this year.
And
heard that name for the past couple years.
I haven't heard yet, but someone told me the other day they weren't sure that Coran was going to wrestle or if he was going to make 220.
Sorry,
that's Deb over there.
Deb's over here messing with the fight. She's messing with us. We thought we had somebody and lost him again, but Deb's messing with us.
But Coran. So if anyone out there, if you can call in,
so is he looking? So would he? It's before the season starts, so he can start wherever he wants to, right? Can he go up or down?
And you can come down. You've got weight requirements too. There's rules on how much weight you can or cannot lose to go down a weight class, and then. If they say you have the body fat and the all the things that meets these requirements, you can go down to this lower, but you can only go down this fast. So you have a digression or progression,
which I think is good. I mean, and to kind of put it into perspective, because it took me a while to figure it out too. But if you're, let's say you weigh 182 pounds, you could theoretically wrestle at 195, 220 or heavyweight. Probably not the smartest thing in the world to do, but you could. But if you wanted to go down in weight, how long do you have to go down, Ron? Do you know?
According to how much you weighed when you started, and what they say your body fat is. They measure your body fat, ketones. You do have to go in a jar, and you have to have certain ketones in your system. You can't just starve yourself. There's a lot of weight management in it. This didn't used to be true many years in the sports. People tried to get way down, they'd get pretty sick, and now these weight controls are regulated.
Good.
And so Coran Kennedy, I wish we had someone with the phone with Rankin, but J.J. Yeltsin, Anderson County's always been a tough guy up there, and Josh Kilby for Franklin. Franklin always has a tough wrestling team. Heavyweights, tough guy there in John Gaither. I think he'll move on up a little bit this year. I think he gave John Kramer all he wanted last year in the state duels. So and then we're looking at
Jacob Kelch from Ottawa.
Ottawa, and then like I say, there are not any other. That's the people who are preseason ranked. Now, 2 weeks from now, some of these names will disappear, and some of them will reappear. We don't have a lot of varsity lineups yet, because varsity probably were not set until maybe 2 or 3 days ago.
Yep.
I think Bradley's finalized Wednesday afternoon before they went off on Thanksgiving break.
Well, as long as they've got it done by. Well, I guess Bradley and Walker Valley had to have theirs done today, didn't they? Because they're in the tournaments, but particularly by next week when they start the season.
They didn't have to have a starter there. They could have said, "This is a guy who's wrestling at 132." Some tournaments allow you to take more than one weight class. Like at Archer, they can take 20 guys, so they can have 2 guys at some weight classes, and and usually don't have 3. But
and then how many times have we been to a match and we think we've got the starting lineup, and then it changes anyways, or they bump them up, or there's all these different tactics that take place. So
so right now we see Bradley and Cleveland. Cleveland ranked number 1, Bradley number 2 in the preseason. Now this doesn't take granted the Baylors and McCaulleys and other schools in there. Now Bradley's varsity lineup completed just as of Wednesday. I got this yesterday afternoon late, and I wasn't able to get a hold of Al Morris, the great coach up at Walker Valley, good friend of ours, and Jake Yost, former Saudi Daisy great, who's now at Cleveland. Hadn't been able to catch up with them last week. Early this week, we should be able to get to them. But 106 is T.J. Hicks. Some of you may know his grandfather in town, T.A. Hicks. And T.J. didn't get any of his athletic ability from T.A., thank goodness. T.J.'s got his own there. But T.J. Hicks was starting at 106 and the favorite in the state. At 113, defending state champion Toribio Navarro. He won at 106 his freshman year, 113 last year, junior this year. He'll be doing at 113 again. At 120, Ryan McElhaney started at 106 last year and finished second in the states, bumped up to 120 pounds. Knox Fuller was at 120 last year, state champion last year, and he'll be at 126. Those first 4 weight classes at Bradley are going to be killer. Those are tough kids right there. So those are some guys that a lot of teams are going to say is, wow, what are we going to do to get by these 4 guys right here? Then you get to 132. Hunter Parker is ranked 5th in the state. Hunter's got a tough weight class when he has to go on. That Chris DBN will be a tough one to try to get through this year. Stephen Scott. I think Stephen Scott at 138 is going to be a really tough guy. He was in the starting lineup last year, had a good season. Now, Donnie Byer, I don't know Donnie Byer as well yet. New guy. Caleb Atkins was around wrestling off and on last year, in the lineup, out of the lineup. We talked about Clay Bandy being at 160. That's Deb's nephew's son. At 170 is Corey Gatlin, in and out of the lineup there. Edward Elkins is a new kid for Bradley there. 195, Brett Brown finished fifth in the state last year at 195. Trip Stores at 220, and heavyweight DJ Adams. He was the JV behind JJ last year. So there's the starting lineups we have there. Now, just to talk about some of the lineups, the first matchup for Bradley this year is going to be, of course, at Archer today. And like I say, these tournaments only make you get better. They have nothing to do with your rankings or your polling or anything of that nature, or where you play when you get to the district tournaments or regional tournaments. But Bradley has a tough home match. JVs start around 6. The varsity starts at 7. They'll be taking on the Blue Tornadoes of McCallie. Now, looking over some of the private school rankings there, I think Bradley's got a great chance of taking McCallie now. I think they have McCallie has some guys who are ranked 3rd and 4th in the state, and they don't have a lot of guys ranked number 1 in there. 1 or 2 guys, but I think Bradley matches up pretty well with them. McCallie handed it to them last year. First year Bradley had wrestled McCallie in a long time, and first year they wrestled Baylor a long time. Both schools got Bradley last year. I think McCallie is going to probably find a lot different Bradley team this year. Now, I think Cleveland will be on December 4th.
It says McMinn or Ray, and then Walker Valley says McMinn or Ray.
I think it's going to be at McMinn County, actually. And
is it like a tournament, or is it
Cleveland will wrestle McMinn and Ray, and then Walker Valley will wrestle McMinn and Ray. They'll switch out there.
Oh, okay.
And they won't wrestle each other because they're in the district, and this is just going to be a good way to get started. 2 matches on your first night there. Walker Valley should have no problem with McMinn or Ray. Cleveland should have no problem with McMinn or Ray. So, there's 2 big wins for both those schools coming in early in the season. And then next comes up on the 6th, which is a tournament. Cleveland will go down to the Ooltewah tournament. I think that'll be a tough tournament. Cleveland ought to walk away with that one, though. Cleveland just far and above everybody.
Walker Valley's in that one as well, right?
Walker Valley, we'll just have to see how well they do against the other teams there. This will be a bigger test for Walker Valley. Bradley will be at Woodstock, Georgia on the 2-night individual tournaments, and both those are individual tournaments. The 12-5 and 12-6, they'll be at the Wolverine Classic at Woodstock, Georgia. I don't know about who's going to be there yet. Haven't seen their list of teams. Haven't seen Ooltewah's list of teams or not. Now, someone will tell you there's 2 types of matches. There's what they call a dual match. A dual match is team to team. And during that team, there's 14 individual matches. So each weight class goes out and they fight each other, and then the score's added up at the end, and you win a duals match. In the state, there are 2 types of state tournaments. There's the dual state tournament, whereas it's team against team. And then 2 weeks later in the state, you'll have the individual tournaments that name the individual state champions.
And that's called the
individuals.
Traditionals.
You call it traditionals, or the individuals. And those state tournaments are held every year at
the
Franklin,
barn.
At the barn.
The barn.
At the Williamson County Agricultural Center in Franklin, Tennessee. It's a big rodeo barn up there, and they put mats down on it, and they go to wrestling there. This will be the 4th year, I believe, going there. And so that is a big match up there. Now, big tournaments coming up that if you want to plan to go see something on December 13th. I think it's 12th and 13th, or maybe December 12th. Father Ryan will come to town and wrestle Cleveland that night. Then the next day, the Cleveland Duels. Some of the top teams in the country. Collins Hill has been here. Christian Brothers will probably be here. Saudi's usually in that matchup. There are going to be some really great team matches in that. And so if you're interested in some great team wrestling there, or want to see some of the best teams in the state and learn a lot about it, that's on the December 12th and 13th over at Cleveland High School. Now, I think the big tournaments this year will be held over at Cleveland Middle School. As you well know, the Dome is no longer. I was
going to bring that up, but the dome is gone. But I can't imagine that a Bradley Cleveland match would be held in the Cleveland Wrestling Center.
I think it.
Although it has been done before, but
yeah. I think you'll see now smaller matches. I think if they're at Cleveland, you will see them probably in the Jones Wrestling Building. Bradley's always in the gym there at the Jim Smitty Arena. And then up at Walker Valley in the stables there, you're always welcome up there. Let's see here. Now, let's see who. So that first week is Ray County McMinn. That'll be up there. And then coming home on the 9th, Walker Valley will be down at East Hamilton High School. I think that's another big win for the Walker Valley team. I think they're going to be very dominant there. That's a good team to look for. And then over at on the then Cleveland don't wrestle again to the 12th, which was just before the duels. Let's see if we can get this caller.
They can hear the listeners can hear the caller.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
Yeah, this is Coach Shriver.
Hello?
Coach Shriver.
I'm sorry, you got the wrong Coach Reimer. Driver. Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. The phone systems are messed up here. I can barely hear you.
Well, I see you're got this program going. That's pretty exciting.
Well, we are too. If we can get our phone system to work, for some reason I can barely hear you, and our callers can't hear you.
The listeners can hear them.
Our listeners can hear you. They just can't hear. I can't.
We
hear
can't
you.
hear you.
I'm sorry. Well, it's kind of hard for us to discuss.
Well, you go ahead there. I can hear you barely enough. You go ahead and talk a second.
Well, you had mentioned about the Cleveland duels and everything, and on the 12th, you also mentioned that we didn't have a match before, but Cleveland is wrestling McMinn County and Ray County on Thursday the 4th.
Right. Yeah. And is that at McMinn County?
No, that's at home.
Oh, it is at home, and Ray County and Walker Valley's going to be there also, right?
I'm not sure about that, but anyway, I know it's McMinn and Ray.
Right.
And then, of course, the duels are on the 13th, as you already mentioned.
Right.
And the night before, we'll have our match with Father Ryan, which is kind of becoming a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And also at 5 o'clock, we have our alumni banquets there at Cleveland High School for all the alumni wrestlers that have ever wrestled at Cleveland High School.
Now, who do they need to contact to get a hold of that?
They just need to show up. They don't have to contact anybody. We prepare and everything, and have plenty. Have lots of food and good times and talk and communication and tell those lies. They can get bigger and bigger every year, you know.
Right.
But we always look forward to that. That's 5 o'clock on the 12th. Then the match with Father Ryan at 7, and then, of course, the duels the next day that go all day long. So.
Well, that's good, you know. And do you know what teams are going to be there at the Cleveland duels this year?
I don't have all the names. I'm sure there's some of the standbys, the McCauley's, Baylor, Pope. I haven't seen the final list.
Christian Brothers was it?
They'll be the best in the area, I'll tell you, and the best in the southeast.
Right. I know Collins Hill has been there some in the past, yeah. and Polk. Two great teams always come up from Georgia.
Right. Christian Brothers from West Tennessee. So it's going to be, as usual, a great tournament. Of course, you know, we named it, started last year, we named it after Al Miller.
Right.
Al Miller Cleveland Duels. So.
Right. That's Al Miller's always a great guy there. Let me ask you, is the Cleveland matches, the big matches, going to be held at Cleveland Middle?
No, we're going to have everything at the Wrestling Center, except I'm not sure about what they've decided on.
Oop, now I don't hear him. Go ahead. We may have hung up on him. Nope.
The high school and the middle school, the old middle school gym. So it still stays on campus. We just spread it out. Actually, it works out really well.
That's good. Now the Bradley Cleveland match will be at Cleveland this year, and that's going to be a pretty big match there. Do you think that you'll do that at middle school?
That might happen. I haven't been told about that yet, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of notice to get it out there because it's as you say, we always have a great turnout for that. That's always a big one. And this year, I think it's even going to be bigger because I think Bradley's going to be a whole lot stronger this year than they have been. And Ben's done such a great job over there and they're getting a whole lot better.
Well, now, looking at the matchups and some of the preseasons for the individuals, Bradley's got those first four weight classes are just really dominant. And then, of course, you got DBN and Oliver, and I don't know if Corinne Kennedy is going to come in at 220 or heavyweight, or is he going to wrestle at all? We'd heard that he may not wrestle, but we don't know yet.
Well, it depends on his ankle. He hurt that ankle in that last football game.
Right.
He's right now it's 4 to 6 weeks, so we're not sure. It all depends on how that heals up and that whole business there. So. It's too soon to really tell on that, but I guarantee you those Bradley, those four, like you said, those first 4 weight classes are hard to deal with. That's going to be great competition right there.
Well, I think so too.
Of course, Cleveland has got a lot of experience coming back with the place finishers from last year,
Blancett and Oliver,
but it's going to be a great match, and so it's something to look forward to for the community and the sport of wrestling in this area.
Were you surprised? I don't know if you heard or not, but Saudi Daisy's not in the preseason top 10.
Yeah, that's very, very unusual, and so I'm not sure what's going on or what the situation is there or anything, but somehow or other, I feel like they'll probably pop up there sooner or later.
I agree with you. It's hard for me to imagine that they won't come all the way and they'll be in that top 10. And we all have these up and down years. And of course, Cleveland just had these tremendous last 3 or 4 years, just been unbelievable. And we congratulate everything that Jake and Coach Phillips has done over there.
It's been great. It's been a great group of kids. And in the last, like you say, in the last 5 years, probably Cleveland has been the most consistent wrestling team in the entire state. And it kind of goes back, like when Cleveland in the early years and then Bradley when they went through that period where they just were dominating everybody. And, of course, what's so great about it right here, right now, is the fact, we've got these 3 teams here locally with Walker Valley, Bradley, and Cleveland. And it's so neat for our community to be able to see how that goes as far as how, people have to go through here. They have to go through Bradley County and Cleveland to, get to the state. And that's so neat because that's what we started out years ago and hoped to get to, and we've accomplished that, and we want to maintain that.
Well, I know Al Miller was a big help in getting Bradley County and you and several getting the high school there, and of course having somebody like Turner Jackson showing up in Bradley County didn't hurt us any either.
No, but Turner did we really did a great job over there and got everything set in motion. And but like I said, we've been very, very fortunate and very proud of the program and come a long way over the last 40 years.
Well, like I say, I think you need to get there early to watch the Bradley Cleveland match. Everybody's healthy. That will be an unbelievable matchup, and who knows who will win that one. I think we know that we can probably tell about 8 weight classes. It's that other 4 classes that we're probably going to have to wonder about.
That's it. And that's the great thing about it, because you never know. And especially, it's still too early in the year to really tell where some of these kids are going to fall in their weights. And like with Cleveland, with Perron and John Gaither, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. And I mean, we hope Perron will be able to wrestle, but we'll just have to wait and see.
We do too, because he's such a great athlete, good-looking athlete, and I hope he's able to make it. And Chris, is he going to be able to come back at the January?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think his goal is his first match to be Bradley. So. Okay. And so right now, but he's recovering very well. He really looks good physically, but he's working back slow. He's won that 4th state championship, and he's not going to
do anything to jeopardize that. So I think he's doing it the right way.
Well, then maybe he ought to.
Back slow, looking good, stronger. He's just a good heart, competitive kid, and so he's going to do whatever it takes.
He is one of the slickest wrestlers I've seen in a long, long time. He's really, really good. What I think what Chris needs to do is probably to sit out and wait past Bradley there, just, rest that knee.
Well, he won't wrestle until he knows he's ready and everything, and he's a very smart kid, and he knows exactly what to do, and but he's definitely on the road to be the best wrestler to ever come through Cleveland High School.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He is a great athlete and a very good kid, and even though he's got that stepfather of his, he's still a pretty good kid.
Yeah, I know. That is. When you have to deal with something like that, I feel sorry for Sylvia, because she has to take care of both boys there.
Yep. All right, thanks so much. And, hey, call in next week. We're going to be here for all the way through the season.
Maybe our phone will work.
All right, big guy. Appreciate you all doing this. This is wonderful.
Hey, yeah, we're going to talk wrestling for 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, Ron, I believe time's already up.
Hey, folks, that's been the Wrestling Hour here on Whoop Radio with the Wrestling Match.
I'll try not to wear my Hulk Hogan shirt next time. Thanks, Ron.
Oh, well, okay. Next week we'll have some more people in there. Maybe we'll get some interviews with J.K. Ost and Ben and Smith and Al Morris. And so we'll see you next week here on the Wrestling Mat.
Check into cash. The cash you need is closer than you think.
Get an auto title loan today for up to $2,500 at Check Into Cash.
You drive home with the cash in your pocket.
Visit Check Into Cash for an auto title loan today, or get a payday advance for up to $425. Call toll-free 877-262-CASH. Title loan amount determined by value of car and ability to repay. Borrowers often use payday advances over a period of months, which can be expensive. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
You need a little green, Lending Frog is making deals. He'll lend you cash on any kind of wheels. Borrow just a little, or you can borrow big. Lending Frog is a new financial gig. It's hip to hop into cash. LendingFrog.com is making a splash. Dig it, dig it. Dig it, dig it.
They used to have a television show where they had bees, just billions of bees in a wall that they didn't know where all the noise was coming from, and it turned out to be some bees. They had inside the wall, they had a nest of nothing but honey and everything inside the wall. But I can't handle. I don't think too many people can handle the roaches. They'll give you the willies real quick.
I know she has found.